Los Angeles is currently in the middle of a $30 billion race against time with their 28 by 28 initiative, and right now, the city is losing. This isn't just a construction delay. This isn't a minor budget adjustment. This is the 2028 Olympic Games, a fixed, immovable deadline that is barreling toward a city whose major LA metro infrastructure projects are currently in a state of absolute, unmitigated chaos. Imagine promising the entire world that your city will be ready to host the greatest sporting event on Earth, only to realize that the $3 billion LA Metro D-line meant to carry those millions of tourists is already 3 years behind schedule. Imagine realizing that the subway you're tunneling under, the most expensive real estate in America, is physically sinking the buildings above it. The numbers are catastrophic. A $880 million cost overrun at LAX. A $2 billion people mover in Inglewood that costs an astronomical $236,000 for every single foot of track, before the project was effectively killed in October 2024 after South Bay denied $493 million in funding. And most terrifyingly, a 31% probability that a massive earthquake will hit the region before the projects are even finished, just like the 1994 Northridge earthquake that caused $49 billion in damage. This isn't just a modernization program. It is a $30 billion suicide mission for the California taxpayer. Let's look at the math, because the math is where the Olympic dream meets the Megaproject nightmare. According to Bent Flyberg, a professor at Oxford University who maintains a database of over 16,000 megaprojects, a staggering 91.5% of these massive builds go over budget, over schedule, or both. In fact, less than 1% of projects are completed on time and on budget. If you want to see what happens when the math fails, look at Montreal 1976. The Games left the city with a $1.5 billion debt, nicknamed the Big O. It took Quebec taxpayers exactly 30 years to pay that off. They didn't finish paying for the 1976 Olympics until November 2006. Or look at Tokyo 2020. The original estimate was $7.3 billion. The final cost, $13 billion. That is double the budget, with the government forced to bail them out. Now, Los Angeles is stepping up to the plate with a $30 billion infrastructure gamble, racing against not just the Olympics, but also the FIFA World Cup 2026. And the policy villains in Sacramento and City Hall are pretending everything is fine. Let's start with project number 1, the LAX Automated People Mover. This was supposed to be the crown jewel of the airport's $15 billion modernization. It's a 2.25-mile elevated train designed to finally end the LAX horseshoe traffic nightmare. The original timeline? Completion in March 2023. As we sit here today, the target has slipped to mid-2026. That is 3 years of failure. A Los Angeles County civil grand jury report recently exposed the truth. The project is already $880 million over budget, pushing the total cost past $3 billion. Why? Because of a total breakdown in the relationship between Los Angeles World Airports and the contractor consortium. They are currently locked in legal disputes over maintenance and oversight, while the half-finished guideway sits as a monument to bureaucratic incompetence. And it gets worse. While the People Mover is stalling, a $1.6 billion demolition and rebuild of Terminals 4 and 5 is underway, scheduled to finish in 2007. That is cutting it dangerously close to the 2008 deadline. One more lawsuit, one more supply chain hiccup, and the world arrives at an airport that is still a construction zone. But the airport is just the beginning. Let's look at project number 2, the Metro D-Line extension. This is a $9.5 billion effort to tunnel 9 miles under Wilshire Boulevard, with LA Metro CEO Stephanie Wiggins promising that Section 1 will open May 8, 2026, just in time for the Olympic countdown. This is some of the most dense, expensive urban territory in the world, and the Earth is fighting back. In 2019, the owners of the historic Saban Theater sued Metro, alleging that construction vibrations caused cracks and fissures so severe that the building became inoperable. They call it subsidence, the physical sinking of the ground. Think about the engineering hubris here. To stabilize just a 45-foot stretch of this tunnel, Metro had to drill 211 separate column holes just to inject grout and keep the street from swallowing the utilities. And the legal wars haven't stopped. The Beverly Hills Unified School District spent years and millions of taxpayer dollars trying to stop Metro from tunneling directly under Beverly Hills High School. A jury eventually awarded the district a measly $1 million after they sought $52 million. This isn't just building a subway. It is a multi-billion-dollar litigation trap funded by Measure R and Measure M sales taxes that voters approved thinking they'd get functional transit. And then there is the Santa Monica Fault. Section 2 of this $9.5 billion extension crosses an active seismic fault. Engineers have had to partner with UC San Diego to create advanced 3D numerical models just to see if the tunnel lining can survive a maximum design earthquake. They are literally building a multi-billion-dollar concrete tube through a rupture zone and hoping the physics hold up. If you think the subway is expensive, wait until you see what was project number 3, the Inglewood Transit Connector. This was the definition of a policy disaster. This automated people mover was only 1.6 miles long. It had 3 stations. In 2018, the estimate was around $600 million. By 2024, that budget ballooned to $2.2 billion before reality hit. Do the math on that. $2.2 billion for 1.6 miles, that is $1.25 billion per mile. That is roughly $236,000 for every single foot of track. Why? Because the city had to acquire massive amounts of real estate in a dense urban corridor and navigate a labyrinth of existing utilities. The cost was so high that in July 2024, the U.S. House of Representatives actually voted to remove $200 million in funding. Representative Maxine Waters publicly called for the project to be stopped, citing the extreme waste. In October 2024, it was effectively killed when South Bay denied $493 million in funding. Now it's been refaced into a mobility plan with bus lanes, the most expensive bus route in human history. Now, let's look at project number 4, the LA River Revitalization. This is a ghost story that goes back to 1938. That year, a devastating flood killed over 100 people and caused nearly $800 million in damages. To prevent it from happening again, the government turned the river into a 278-mile concrete coffin, pouring 2 million cubic yards of concrete. Today, the city wants to turn it back into a natural wetland for the Olympics, but there is a toxic secret buried in the soil. A key part of the restoration is Taylor Yard Parcel G2, a former rail yard. The Bureau of Engineering has admitted that the soil is heavily contaminated with lead, diesel, and surface asbestos. In fact, 40% of the site exceeds hazardous waste thresholds. But here is the state's spin. They aren't going to do a total cleanup. They can't. The toxins run 80 feet deep. Instead, they plan a 20-foot remediation, essentially capping the poison with a dust retardant called soil cement to keep the lead from rising to the surface. They are building a public park on top of a toxic graveyard and calling it revitalization. It is the same surgical and methodical approach that we saw in the Florida condo crisis. Patch the cracks, hide the truth, and pray nothing breaks. Finally, we have project number 5, the Olympic infrastructure itself. The revised budget sits at $6.88 billion. The city's big promise is that they aren't building any new permanent stadiums. They claim this will prevent an economic collapse like we saw in Rio or Athens. They're using SoFi Stadium and the LA Coliseum. But here is the catch. The city of Los Angeles and the state of California have each agreed to serve as a financial backstop. They have guaranteed up to $270 million each in contingency funds. If the organizing committee goes over budget, which, as we've seen, happens 99% of the time, the taxpayers are the ones who get liquidated. You are the insurance policy for a $7 billion party. And all of this is happening under the shadow of the wild card, seismic risk. The USGS uses a model called UCE RF3. It calculates a 31% probability that an earthquake of magnitude 6.7 or larger will hit the Los Angeles area within the next 30 years. Think about that. You have a $9.5 billion tunnel under Wilshire, a 1.6-mile elevated guideway in Inglewood, and a 2.25-mile elevated track at LAX. All of them are structurally vulnerable to ground liquefaction and seismic shear. One major rupture event doesn't just delay the Olympics, it turns $30 billion of taxpayer-funded concrete into a graveyard of twisted steel. The American dream of California is being crushed by the very projects meant to save it. Every 9 minutes and 21 seconds, another resident leaves Illinois. 239,000 more left California than moved in last year. They are fleeing because the carrying costs of living in this state have become unsustainable. Between the $100 million fix for the Millennium Tower, the $1 billion Broken Bolt Bridge in New York, and now the $30 billion Olympic gamble in LA, the message is clear. Our leadership has lost the ability to build on budget and on bedrock. Sacramento will tell you that the economy is the 5th largest in the world. They will talk about their revitalization plans. But plans do not pay for schools, police, and safety. Revenue from a thriving middle class does that, and that middle class is being taxed into oblivion to fund $236,000 per foot people movers. The domino effect is already starting. As the costs rise, the funding gets cut. As the funding gets cut, the projects get simplified. And as the projects get simplified, the safety margins shrink. We are watching a slow-motion train wreck in the City of Angels. The question is no longer, will LA be ready for 2028? The question is, who will be left to pay the bill in 2029? Across America, other states are watching. They are waiting with lower taxes, safer streets, and infrastructure that actually works. The Olympic gamble is the ultimate verdict on California's future. If they fail, the Big O of Montreal will look like a bargain compared to the debt trap being dug in Los Angeles. July 2028 is the date. Remember it. That is when the world arrives to see if the cement-capped toxic yards and the 3 years late trains are actually functional. After watching the housing market, analyzing the data from thousands of megaprojects, and understanding exactly how bureaucracy destroys equity, the verdict is in. The clock is ticking, the earth is sinking, and the policy villains are running out of grout. If you are a resident, an investor, or a taxpayer, the message is clear. Verify the foundation. Don't trust the glossy Olympic brochures. And certainly, don't trust a government that tells you a $1.25 billion per mile train is a victory. The $30 billion gamble is on, and you are the one holding the chips.